Hey guys, how's she going? YouTube world. We're here at the business guys, and I'm gonna post this video, or I'm making this video for people that own convenience stores, concession stands, whatever, that have a slush machine and they own the machine. So it's not a rental unit or anything like that. And my video I'm making pertains to a lot of refrigeration units, small refrigeration. I mean, it can even be as out to your household air conditioner, whatever, anything with a compressor on it, guys. Now, the problem this machine was having is it's an Almico slush machine. It was not making slush, so it wasn't freezing. Let's shut the machine off just so it's a little quieter in here. The machine here is a Almico slush machine. Now, is what the machine was doing, is what I noticed is the compressor would come on, it would run for a minute to a minute and a half, and then it would shut off. And it would keep repeating the cycle over and over and over. Now, I'm not a technician in any way, shape, or form. I'm just that really annoying kid growing up that asked a lot of questions. I'm self-educated, dropped out of high school in grade 9. I've run this business for 27 years. And again, I'm around refrigeration equipment all the time. Don't have a ticket for gas or anything like that, so I'm screwed when it comes to that, but I'm pretty good at troubleshooting stuff. So this machine here is an Almico slush machine. 5 years old. It has a single compressor inside the unit right here. It has 3 hoppers, so it's one compressor that chills down 3 hoppers. And the first thing I did was check the solenoid valves in the machine, because there's 3 solenoids. You will not be able to see them on the video, but back inside here there's 3 solenoids in there. So as what I did is I shut the 2 hoppers down and I left 1 hopper on. It gives a little squiggly line to show that it's calling for refrigerant to cool the hopper. So that was on, and I would shut that one off and I would hear a click. So that's telling me the solenoid valve is working for this hopper. Repeated the process for this hopper, I would hear the click. That's telling me that the solenoid valve is opening and closing. I did the same for this. The solenoid valve is opening and closing. So that's telling me that it's getting its refrigerant gas to each of the hoppers, and then obviously when all 3 are on, it's calling for refrigerant to all 3. The compressor would start, run for a minute and a half, and then the compressor would stop. So I immediately after that thought, I'm going to try one more thing just in case. Maybe my sugar content mix is not right in the hoppers. So I drained all 3 hoppers, remixed, brand new batch for all 3 hoppers, knowing that there's the proper amount of sugar to water ratio for it to freeze properly. Because again, when it would come on for a moment, it would start to build ice in the hopper, and then the compressor would shut off. But anyway, I just did that for shits and giggles to rule everything out. Once I ruled out that the solenoid valves are working properly and the sugar content is right, and it's still not freezing down correctly, I started to brainstorm a little bit, and I thought, I'll bet you that it has something to do with an overload on the compressor. So in other words, the compressor's trying to draw too much current, too many amps. So I'm just going to grab a flashlight here. Now, having said that, that only leads to the conclusion that if there is a bad capacitor here, because there's a capacitor here, it's capacitor start on the compressor. I don't know if you can really see all well the capacitor in there, but you're looking at the capacitor right here. So if the capacitor is weak, if that's even possible to be weak, again, I'm not a technician, to me, if the capacitor wasn't functioning, the compressor would be trying to start, it would be drawing too much current, and it would be tripping out on an overload protection. But the thing that got to me was the compressor is starting and the compressor is running for a minute and a half. So it can't be the capacitor, that's for sure. So immediately I went to this little guy right here. Inside here. Right here. This thing. And inside that little box right there, there's a little thermal protection thing that sits against the compressor. And when the compressor starts to get too hot, it's tripping out. The thermal protection shut down on the compressor. So what I did is I removed the cover right here, popped this off, pulled that cap off, and there's a little round thing inside there. And all I did was I pried that off of the compressor. It's stuck to the side of the compressor. It senses how hot the compressor is getting. And I sort of tapped it around a little bit, and I put it all back together, and I started the unit up, and heaven behold, it's making slush exactly the way it should be making slush. So Almeco slush machine, if it ain't making slush and it's got nothing to do with refrigerant gas, that's your culprit right there. I am going to order a new one. It is a Sunday afternoon and I'm unable to get the part because is what that's telling me. Last summer it got pretty hot here in the business and it did trip out on a high pressure on the pressure switch. And that's because it got excessive heat. It was probably running at over 100 degrees in the store. So it did trip out on high pressure. And I have a feeling when it tripped out, it's the style of the overload protection piece in there. It's the style of that protection piece is a little piece of copper in there that like springs in and out. So if it gets too hot, it'll spring out and trip the compressor off. I really think that because it did that, it made the spring in it weaker, so it's made the part become defective. So I did pry it off the compressor and I just let it hang in there a little less, so it should still thermal protect itself, but it'll just take a little more heat now to cause that to happen because it's not touching right against the compressor. It's sort of just floating in the air inside that plastic box. So I'm definitely going to get a new one for it. But that was the culprit. Again, it is making slush as it should. You hear the compressor is running and stays running as it should. It's quite hot, but it's running, and it should be hot because it's removing heat from the product. So there you have it, guys. Almeco slush machine, and this is a model FC3 hopper machine. Have a good one, guys.